The Spiritus Christi Prison Outreach Walk the Red Carpet. We are so glad you're here. This is our annual fundraiser we do each year. So, yay. Thanks to you. A couple of things. One is please make sure you walk the red carpet and get your picture taken. On your table is two QR codes. The one that's on the bigger piece of paper is for an app called Photo Circle. If you download that app to your phone and then you take pictures through the app on your phone, everybody who's using the app will see the pictures and can save them to their phone. So if you see a picture of yourself or your friends or the group you're with, you can download it right to your phone and save it. So it's great. Good way to capture the entire evening. So make sure you do that. And that'd be great. We'd like to thank a few people here. First, I'd like to thank Sharon Castronova, the business manager. Yay! At the Prison Outreach. And her team here, Shannon Shaw. Shannon, wave your hand. Elizabeth Martinez. Where's Elizabeth? Elizabeth. All right, great. And also a special thank you to Elizabeth who did our flyer this year. So great job, Elizabeth. Yep, myself and Sandra are also members of the board of directors for the Prison Outreach. I know we have some other board members here. Just ask that you stand to be recognized, please, if you could. And also, if you saw the sign as you entered, but if not, take a look at that. We have some individuals and companies that have sponsored this event, so make sure you take a look at that and thank them if you know any of them. Also, we'd like to say thank you to many who aren't here who sponsored residents and alumni to attend. We asked for 40 sponsors as we started promoting this event, and we had way more than that. So thank you to everybody who did that as well too. So Sandra, did I miss anything? Oh yeah, I did.
Yes. So again, thank you so much for your generosity. Thank you for being here. We're so glad to spend the evening with you. And there are some great gift baskets in the back. You all have been wonderful bidding on them. Make sure you go back and check your bid if there is something that you really are interested in, so that you can make sure that you're bidding. And we're raising all kinds of money for our beloved Prison Outreach. And now we'd like to call up Reverend Myra to do the blessing. Reverend Myra, come on up.
All right, I can tell you all are hungry. So let us pray. Thank you, God, for bringing us together tonight. Thank you for this beautiful ministry. Thank you for an opportunity to celebrate it with friends and family. We ask you to bless all the people who have prepared the food tonight. Bless the food that we will be eating that will come before us. And we ask you, God, to just be with us at the tables as we talk with each other and learn from each other and connect with each other. And most of all, let us raise lots of money for this beautiful, beautiful ministry tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
How was dinner, everyone? Have a good dinner? Great. I'd like to thank the Harrow East and the staff here. Give them a round of applause. We were moving around places to find a great venue to have our event, and they have just welcomed us with open arms and really treat us well and take good care of us. So thank you to all of them. A couple of things. One thing about the meal I forgot to mention, we are extremely green friendly and being nice to Mother Earth. We didn't use any plastic. Okay, so that's the good there. Well, maybe the cups. I forgot about the cups, sorry. The kitchen did compost for all the prep work that they did as well, and of course any leftover food. So again, we wanted to make sure that we're taking care of our wonderful planet here with that. Also forgot to mention on this table over here to my left, there are guess the number of jelly beans, and then you can win a $50 gift card, and it's just a donation. You can put in there as little or as much as you'd like to take a chance on guessing the number of jelly beans as well. So I think there's some other things still going on, right, Sandra?
Absolutely. So we have our gift baskets in the back. You all have been so wonderful with the bidding. Make sure, I know at our table we have people sneaking back and forth to go check to see if their bid is still holding or not. So make sure that you're double checking. And I also believe that we have a gift card over there as well,
Yeah.
that you also can take a chance on as well. So thank you again for your generosity, and we appreciate your being here with us this evening.
Now I'd like to invite Jim Smith, our executive director at the Prison Outreach, up. And Jim, come on up. I just want you to know, so Jim and I were interviewed by Channel 10 News earlier, and she asked a little bit about the prison outreach, and Jim informed her that it's 43 years, and guess who's been here the full 43 years? Jim Smith.
Thank you, Todd. Julie's going to help me here with the light on my paper so I can see a little bit. My vision is it's about 43 years old. Well, thank you so much for coming and joining with us tonight. We have so much to celebrate. We're celebrating hope. We're celebrating renewal. We're celebrating springtime. Yes, it's springtime. And we just have so very much to be grateful for. We're really grateful to Todd for all these years that he has called us together to have fun, to be silly, to play grown-up for an evening, to celebrate, and to have this wonderful gathering of people come together and just have a ball. So thanks so much, Todd. We really, really appreciate it. My mentor, Sister Margie, used to always say, we work really hard. Life is serious, and we take it too serious. We need to have more fun, more often, for more people. Thank you, Sister Margie. And when I first heard that, I was pretty sure she was quoting scripture. I know somewhere in there, there's those very words, more fun for more people, more often. Jesus loved to have a good time. He loved parties. I love the story in the gospel, Matthew's gospel, about a wedding feast where he made it very clear that he wanted the right people there. And so he invited a bunch of people, and some couldn't come. And so other people he invited, and they came. And when you get the perfect combination and mix of people, that's called a heavenly time. And that's what a gala is. That's where the word gala first came from. I'm just joking. Well, when we were planning our gala, we recognized that since the pandemic, it's really challenging to get people out for social events. So we really want to say thank you so much for coming. Yeah. We also knew that because it was a challenge to get, and we were talking about this as a staff, we said, well, how are we going to have a fundraiser and how are we going to get people out? And someone said, well, can we invite the alumni? And we said, well, we have about 50 alumni that would probably love to come. We said, well, this is a fundraiser, and we would have a wonderful time if we could invite all the alumni. But it is a fundraiser. So we came up with the idea, well, what about a sponsorship? Let's invite people who can't come but could afford to come to send somebody who wants to come. And well, in the incredible generosity of this community, that took off like crazy. And as Todd said, we have, I think, over 50 sponsorships thanks to this generous community. So for the first time, we were able to say to our alumni and to our people in our permanent supportive program, hey, would you like to go to a gala? I wish you could see the look on their face. They beamed with a great smile and said, I'd love to. And then you could also see this concerned look on their face that we all were haunted with. What will I wear? We have a wonderful alumni community. They come back to the houses. They come for meals. They come just to say hello. They come for the peace and grace that is so abundant in the community. And they come to give back. They are the driving force. They are the hope and inspiration for others. 90% of our direct care are people that have been incarcerated or homeless or both. And so they are, I always say they are our superpower. They are really what provide hope and inspiration. Well, as I was thinking about today and tonight, our alumni community is thriving much because we have a place for them to go when they graduate from Jennifer House and Nielsen House. We have 60 permanent supportive housing through our apartment program. We have staff on the site. And the program is made possible by our wonderful partnership of Home Leasing. They have really partnered with us because they believe in what we're doing. And so they partner with us. They provide housing. They are there through the good times. I went into the office at Charlotte the other day, and one of the residents was sharing her new baby pictures, and with a community leader who was also booming. So, and our residents most do really, really well, but sometimes it's a real struggle. And the home leasing community and the community leaders are there partnering with us, really trying to do everything possible to get people on the right side. And they treat our residents with dignity and respect at all times. So if the folks from home leasing could kind of raise their hand and just say, hey, yeah. If you get a chance to say hello and thank you, please do so. And to the residents and the alumni of the Prison Outreach, you may not know it, but we have been watching you. Well, you probably do know it, but as a community, we have been watching you and we have been learning for you. You teach us how to live one day at a time. We know that from your experience, we only have today. Tomorrow is not promised. So let's make it a good one. You have taught us that sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same thing. And we watch you each and every day choose the hardest thing and the right thing as you enter the world and fight the good fight against life and death. You are courageous. You are our inspiration. And you encourage us to do the same thing, to do that which we need to do, not always what we want to do. You have taught us that we can't do it alone, but that if we let God into our lives, God can help us. You have showed us how to surrender and let God lead the way. You inspire us and teach us to live from the very depths of our being. We know that you don't know, but you are truly a part of the foundation of this community. You are what makes this community so rich and so whole, and we are ever so grateful for your life experience and your generosity of sharing it with us and helping one another. So to all the residents, the alumni, let's give them a great hand. Well, we have three very courageous former residents of both Jennifer House, Nielsen House. One member's at Charlotte on the Loop in our permanent supportive housing program, another's at our voters block. And they I said to them all, are you nervous? Are you nervous? They said, yeah. I said, well, me too. But we're going to do this. So let's give our speakers a wonderful applause. And first we're going to hear from Destiny, then from Delcere, and then Kelly is going to close things up.
It's a lot of people. The last three places wasn't really that much people, so I wasn't really as nervous as I am tonight. I'm Destiny. I'm alumni. I was part of the Jennifer House. I'm just gonna share where I was, where I started, and where I'm at now. Basically, I'm originally from Sumter, South Carolina, born and raised. I moved here from Wilmington, Delaware. I've been living there since I was 12 years old. Um, then I moved here to Rochester in like 2016, but I was like back and forth, so I finally came back year before last year, which was, well, 2 years ago, 2021. Um, I started using drugs at the age of 14. First, it started with alcohol, and then it was marijuana. Um, I grew up in a household where it was whatever was done in the house was said. Whatever was said and done in the house, that's where it was left. We wasn't able to like go outside of that. Um, I also grew up in a family where it was, you know what I'm saying, like a lot of abused drugs and alcohol, basically. More so alcohol, but drugs as well. Um, I was abused I grew up being abused, but I was sexually assaulted at the age of 11. Me and my little sister, um, we used to like tell my brother like the things that was going on, but my brother, he was more so into his games and stuff like that. So it wasn't really like I wouldn't say a concern, but it was a concern, but it really wasn't a concern to him. Like, because like I said, it was more of my game, my game, my game, you know what I'm saying? I'm not really listening to that. So, it started becoming like a normal thing, even though that's not normal for that to happen to a kid, but it started becoming normal after a while. Um, I'm like so nervous. I'm like all over the place. I'm sorry. Um, uh, where was I? Okay. 11, sexually assaulted. I didn't start drinking. Like I said, I didn't start drinking until I turned 14 years old. Um, I dropped out of school at the age of 16. I started, hanging around the wrong people. Um, just, just basically doing what I wanted to do. A lot of things that I I felt was okay for me to do at that moment, it wasn't okay. Um, Dropped out of school at 16. Once I dropped out of school at 16, my mom, okay, my mom knew, but she didn't really know um, that once she found out that I was like into females, my mom put me out. So from there, I've been on my own since I was 16 years old. So from there, it was like, what am I going to do at the age of 16? I'm still a teenager. Like, I still need, you know what I'm saying? Like, that support from like my mom or, you know what I'm saying? An adult. So at that point, just life just happened. At that point, life happened when I turned 14, way before that. But soon as I got kicked out at 16, that's when life really happened for me. Um, I moved in with the person that I was associating with. Things was good. More of the story is things was good. Once I stopped doing what she wanted me to do, it was like, oh, get out. So basically, from there, I ended up with a friend that I knew. And then from there, I ended up from there. It was just basically going from place to place at that point. Um, then I finally ended up with my aunt. My aunt was basically doing the same thing I was doing, but not more so what she was doing, like the drinking, okay, but she was also doing like other drugs too. So it was more so me and her was on the same level with the drinking. So like once I stopped doing what she wanted, or things wasn't going the way she wanted, it was like, okay, now you got to get out, basically. So from there, it was just at that moment, it was just going from place to place. Um, More of the story is I got my clean date is February 26th of 2022. Um, I um I I basically it just one day it was just like way before I ended up at the Jennifer house, a situation happened where I was dealing with somebody that was like very abusive, mentally and physically and emotionally. He was very abusive. Um, wow. Yeah. Yeah, he was very mentally and emotionally, physically abusive. It was just like I said, it was just one day where I woke up and I just was like, I can't do it no more. I got tired of, you know what I'm saying, like just doing drugs or just drinking or just living life the way I was living it, because life, that wasn't life. Like that wasn't life. How I thought that wasn't life. So more of the story is I stayed when I left from there. I ended up staying at a friend of mine's house that I knew, and like she basically kept telling me, like, you know what I'm saying, like you got to get yourself together, like you got to get yourself together, you got to get clean, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. So it just, like I said, it got to a point where I just was just tired. So I ended up at the House of Mercy. Once I got to the House of Mercy, every time I told this story, it's funny, but it wasn't funny when it was happening. But I met um I met Miss Lisa's husband, which is Mr. Earl. I met him. When I got there, soon as I got there, before I even met him, as soon as I got there, I'm like, this is it. This is the bottom of the bottom. The lowest of the lowest. Like, I can't get no lower than this. Like, something gotta give. So I'm walking into the building. I ain't even gonna hold you. Way before I walked into the building, I was I was smoking and I was drinking before I got in there. I ain't even gonna hold you. So when I got in there, he seen me, and when he seen me, he was like, "You don't belong here." And I just didn't understand what he was saying when he said that. So he ended up calling me into the office, and he asked me like why I was there and how did I, you know what I'm saying, and how I ended up there. And I basically explained to him my story, and he basically explained to me about the Jennifer house. Then he made a phone call to Miss Lisa, and she ended up coming to get me the next day. Like before I could even get into it, 5 minutes in, she like, get your bags. I'm like, my bags is already packed because I literally slept with my bag the whole night, like a whole baby. So yeah, I ended up at the Jennifer house. I knew once I got there, I knew that it was it was um it was time. I just knew from there, like, yeah, this is it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is something that I really want to, you know what I'm saying, do for myself. Um, I had some trials and tribulations, you know what I'm saying, but that house, being in that house, it taught me structure. It taught me how to how to live life on life terms, cleaning, chores, writing a schedule, everything like that. Like I was not doing that when I was, you know what I'm saying, like out there in the world. Like it was just me waking up every day and just going with the flow. I didn't know nothing. Half the time I wasn't even eating. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a lot of stuff the house just taught me basically. Um a year later, I ended up having a baby. My daughter name is Etiquette. Um, who would have thought a year ago, like I would have had a baby? But my baby, she's a miracle baby. My daughter heart dropped for 7 minutes, so I had to get emergency C-section. I had my daughter at 6 months. But I feel like my daughter was like, like my daughter is a blessing. Out of everything, I feel like everything that I went through, it was meant for me to, you know what I'm saying, go through it. Like everything that's happening was written in stone. So I just want to say, like, I'm grateful for the Jennifer House. I'm grateful for Spiritus Christi, and just everybody for being here and listening to my story. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Del Sear. I got that name from my grandmother down south. I want to thank you for allowing me to be here. I have been honored, and I feel so welcome and loved. I appreciate everyone for everything they're doing, and I want to highlight the good things that I have to say since being here. I seem so positive for coming over here. Coming to Jennifer House has helped me and my sobriety and other aspects of my life. Because of this house, I am able to love myself, others, cook, clean, and be more independent. And I now have the right tools to continue to strong with my recovery. Before coming to Jennifer House, I was physically, mentally, and spiritually exhausted. I came to Rochester to stay with my sister until I could get some help. I felt hopeful after getting into Jennifer House treatment program. They welcomed me with open arms and sisterhood. I have now been sober for 1 year and 3 months. I now feel confident and more optimistic. I love going to meetings and helping others with their sobriety. Being sober for the time has given me the strength to go further and reconnect with my daughter and my grandbabies, which is twin boys. My sobriety has given me the future. It allows me to achieve goals and continue to set goals for myself. I'm thankful for the time here, for the people involved in getting me where I am today. The support of everyone has helped me, give me strength to go forward. A special thanks to Miss Lisa, to the Jennifer House.
Hello, everybody. Delcir, did you write me one? Usually, if I'm standing in front of this many people, I say one of two things. I'll either say, "My name is Kelly, and I'm an alcoholic," or "Not guilty, Your Honor." That's it, right? And that's been true for me. Then not the not guilty part. I'm guilty, but it's interesting what Delcir was talking about. I was thinking, I'm another you, and you're another me. That's one of the things that has been bouncing around my head leading up to this. Well, first of all, the two biggest lies when you get an Irish alcoholic in front of you that they're going to tell you is this will be brief, and then I'm going to close with this, right? They're lying if they say either of those things. I'm going to keep talking for a minute, but Delcir mentioned something that was interesting to me, that her grandmother gave her that name, and my name is Kelly. That was my grandfather's. That's my mother's maiden name. So my grandfather gave me my name. Everybody called him Kelly, like people call somebody Smith, Smitty. So that's where I got my name, and we've got it's a neat little similarity. And what's interesting about that is that I took that part of my identity for a long time. I mean, heck, if I know if I'm even real, I mean, I could be Lithuanian for all I know, right? I don't know. I think that's what he's from Ireland, so there's a good chance that I'm Irish, but I thought for a long while, that was part of who I was, this Irish construction worker kind of dude, right? That was, I kind of had to live up to that. I wanted to be the guy sitting around at break that had the gnarliest stories, and that was true. I did that for a long time. That was my life. But what I wanted to talk a little bit about is that it's interesting that not everybody comes from a place where. Not everybody comes from circumstances where we're ending up at the Nielsen House. It seems like an inevitability, right? I mean, I had my parents were divorced. Life is in session for all of us, and the truth of the matter is, my sobriety date is December 22nd, 2021. So I'm in recovery. Thank you, but those applause belong to a lot of other people that aren't here tonight, and many that are. But the truth is, we're all in recovery from something. Life is in session, and it's not easy for any of us, and so. I didn't have a life that I was predestined to end up doing these things. And I think that what gets lost sometimes is that as young people, we're making decisions that, I'm acting as if, I'm behaving as though my life is supposed to be a certain way. And I behave that way until it actually becomes that way. And all of a sudden I'm at Wendy and I'm at Elmira and they slam some gates shut. And I realize how forever my life has changed. And it definitely did. And from that moment forward, I thought that I had to be somebody else. If I'm in a room full of lawyers, I'm the guy that went to prison 2 times. But if I'm in a room full of prisoners, then I'm the professor, right? And so part of that, there's 2 things. I don't really, I'm not comfortable. I hadn't been for a long time. I am more so today, being who Kelly is. I'm okay with that. Kelly's okay. But having humility, right? A right-sized ego isn't always coming from here to the center. Many times it's coming from here. I've either got to be better than or worse than, but I've got to be apart from it. I can't be a part of anything. And I want to be real clear that what has happened here in my time at the Nielsen House, I spent about 10 and a half, 11 months at the Nielsen House, and I go back there tomorrow, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I will go back there tomorrow as a resident, same situation. I didn't feel that way. I came here last year I was 3 days out of Monroe County Jail. There's a fellow that's not here, and if you're watching, you ought to be here, Luther Knight. Luther picked me up from Monroe County Jail. Now, I went to jail. My sponsor from AA dropped me off at jail. Luther picked me up from jail. That's how my life had become. It's not to say that people, my family and friends, didn't love me. They were tired of that. The emergency was over. We had done that enough times. They weren't doing it anymore. So anyway, so when I arrived at the Nielsen house, I am a guy that, we'd get in the druggy buggy, right? That's what we call the van. And Rob's driving us around. For me, right? That's my impression of Rob. We'd show up at a meeting, but what's funny is we'd show up at a meeting, a bunch of us, whoever we could get to go, and immediately I want to separate myself from the herd. I'm not one of these guys, right? I want to be different than these guys. I didn't show up at this group, right? And I'm like, oh, look at these guys there. Until somebody in the meeting, right, some old timer, somebody that we respect says, you guys, I really respect, the strength it takes for you guys to come here and ask for help. Then all of a sudden, I'm the sickest guy in the group. I'm with these guys. I'm real sick. Look at, you know what I mean? And it's an interesting thing because that's how a lot of us get to, I'm an AA guy. It's one day at a time. AA helps me to make an introduction to a power greater than myself, and a conscious contact with my God is what keeps me sober on a daily basis. That's what's up for me. And so having that in my life has been very important. And I thought that AA for a long time. I went to my first AA meeting when I was 19 years old. I rolled a truck down Chilai Avenue at 7:30 on a Sunday morning, after coming back from Canada. I rolled a truck that my mother bought. Mom, if you're watching, I'm sorry about the truck. And so what happened was I rolled that truck, went to an AA meeting, and I was furious. I didn't want to be there, didn't want to stay, all of this stuff. And me saying that I've been in AA since I was 19 is like saying I've been in the NFL because I've been watching football since I was a kid. Neither of them are true. I've been around the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And so when I got here, I had some understanding about how to stay sober. I'd been exposed to the solution. And that's what I really want to get at, is that the beauty of what we're doing here tonight is that we're not gathered around a common problem. We are gathered around a common solution. That's what we're doing here. What does this look like? How does this unfold for those of us that came here tonight as people who our life ended up in a situation where we needed to be at the Nielsen house or the Jennifer house or any of the places like it, because I am another you and you're another me. And so the idea that somebody has to be fundamentally flawed or everything's got to be so upside down that you can't even imagine it is just not true, because that's not how it started for me. But I'll tell you this, once it got there, I stayed there for a long time before I ever knew I was there. Party ended about 20 years before I knew it was time to go home. And so that's where my life was like for a long time. And when I start to wax nostalgic about what it's like, I'm not thinking about what it was like sharing a room that I couldn't pay for on Dewey Avenue, standing up looking in that mirror, and my eyes, I couldn't tell which was bleeding worse, my eyes or my nose, and I hadn't eaten in 2 days, and I know that's probably difficult to believe, but I couldn't afford any food. That was bottom for me. Now, if you want a list of consequences, I've got them in spades. I've got 3 children that won't speak to me, 2 wives, 4 felonies, 6 DWIs, been to prison, you name it. We can play paint by numbers, right? We can do that back and forth, but it's not about that. How I got here does not matter as much as what I change once I get here, and that's what's up. What am I willing to do today? What am I willing to do today on a daily basis to create a life around myself that doesn't feel like I need to escape from it? That's what the work is, right? And life is in session. There are days. Yesterday was one of them. I had a banging headache. And I take buses. So I'm 49 years old. Lifetime revocation. I'm going to tell you that many days I feel like I'm better than that. Many days I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to do all of that. And but most days I realize that I get to do all of that, because I also know exactly what it's like to hear Slingerland, on the VI, Slingerland, on the Chow, all of that. And I know what that feels like, and I don't ever want to feel that again. I also know what it's like to feel like I am so alone that I feel like I want to die, but I know deep down I don't want to die. I just don't want to live like that. And I can't figure out how to stop, right? And I have answers all around me, but what I got when I came here is structure and accountability, right? Because I'm a guy who had a life, and I've burned it down many times. I'm fortunate enough to have an opportunity to recreate a life around me again. And I burned that thing to the ground. I'd like to tell you that it was just this explosion, that I went out in a bang, a blaze of glory. That's not true. Guys like me don't do that. I slowly ground it to a bloody stump. That's what it became. That's how it felt for me, at least, And I came here and I got some accountability, and I thought at first, much the same as the first time I arrived at the mental floor at a hospital down in Warsaw. So I'm shuffling up to get my meds, and I'm looking like over my shoulder, like this guy, I've been looking at the nurse who's handing me. I'm like, this guy. I'm like, don't worry, I'm here to help. Like I think I'm, you know what I mean? I don't think I'm part. I think I'm stuck in traffic. I don't know I'm traffic. You understand? This is my life for a long time, including and up to the time that I spent there. What starts to happen is I begin to understand exactly who I am. I become armed with the facts about myself. I know exactly what's going on with Kelly on a daily basis, and I'm willing to reach out for help. I learned that it's okay for a man to ask another man in front of other people, hey man, I don't know what to do with this today. And it's okay to think that I'm doing okay today, and tomorrow not be all that okay. We struggle with the idea of one day at a time, like 5 days at a time was ever an option. But what I don't, so I don't know how many people in this room are in recovery or aren't, or whatever you struggle with. But when you're that obsession of the mind, when you're so stuck that you cannot possibly do anything. See, an obsession is a thought that is so powerful that it overwhelms all other thoughts. And when you have obsessions, and whether it's the money, it's the car, it's the job, it's her, it's him, it's whatever. When that obsession of the mind becomes so powerful that you're unable to act, paralysis by analysis is what takes place. And the next thing you know, here I am. I'm in this place where I have to ask for help. But I'm okay today being able to say, I'm not okay. I mean, that sounds silly, but I used to think that the failure was, I wanted everybody around me to think that everything was going great all the time. I've had small periods of sobriety, never any long-term sobriety, but I didn't want to admit that I was struggling. And whether I'm sober or not, I'm a guy that doesn't want to admit that I'm struggling, and that is the human condition that I experience. None of us do. We always want to look shiny. I want to say all the shiny stuff, right? The struggle, the failure is suffering in silence. So I encourage anybody who is struggling with whatever they're struggling with, reach out for help, right? And that help that you guys, that many of the people that are here in this room offered us, that offered me, they're the reason that there was a roof over my head and a pillow under it, that there was a meal on that table, there was love in that room, gave me an opportunity to learn to be of service to somebody else. If you're wondering the difference between your will and God's will, I'll guarantee you it's probably to get into service and help somebody else do something else. If you are like me and you're an alcoholic or an addict, you're specially equipped to help another alcoholic or addict where others may not be able to. But I guarantee you that God's will for me often looks like being of service to somebody else and get out of Kelly's own head. That's what it feels like for me. And I'll close with this right here. That reminds me, because it's hard for me to even identify what is it. What's the difference? What's the difference between, if not me, who, right? And if not now, then when? What's the difference between people who get into action, into the business of helping other people, and those of us, a guy like me, I'm a gonna guy, right? I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and I don't do any of that stuff, So what is it? I pray to, here's the gift also. Everybody, I might not believe what you believe, but I believe that you believe. And so for me, I pray to God that someday I find in my heart the willingness to be of service to the level and in the way that many of you have, because I am another you and you're another me. And the fact is that my life is still not perfect in many ways. My life is not perfect in the way that I would call it perfect, but I'll guarantee you that it's well above my pay grade to judge these conditions that way. How do I know what's good or bad? I don't have any clarity about what's going on in my life most times until I look back at it. After some prayer and consideration, and the best idea that I have these days is to seek the counsel of another person, to ask somebody else. That's what it sounds like in my head. What does it sound like when I say it to you? And so I really I can't even begin to express the gratitude that I have for the folks in this room that make it your business to go out of your way, that put your money where your mouth is and make this possible. This is the love of God in action, I guarantee you. That's God's will. I think I hope that someday I can be half the person that so many of you guys are and help people the way that you've helped me. My kids, they're not back in my life now, but I promise you that they'll thank you someday. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thanks for having me.
I want to say thank you, Destiny, Delcere, and Kelly. And thank you almost isn't enough, because it took such great courage to come up and to speak about your stories and from your heart. And our Spiritus Christi Mass Choir is representing in the back over there. Hello. And we sing a song that I kept thinking about the whole time you were speaking. And it's called My Worship is for Real. And it's You Don't Know My Story, what I had to go through to get here. You'll never understand my praise. Don't try to figure it out, because my worship is for real. And that's why we're all here tonight, is because of the courage, the strength, and everything that our team brings to the people at Jennifer House and Nielsen House, and then to see the giving back that takes place. And Kelly, you're absolutely right. I am you and you are me. We're all each other at the end of the day, and we're all interconnected. So based on that, I ask you and implore you, please, to help us keep this beautiful ministry going, and so that we can do more for more men and women at Jennifer House and Nielsen House. Because at the end of the day, we're all each other. And it very well could be that one of us needs to be at Jennifer House or Nielsen House, and we just don't realize it yet. It could happen. So based on that, we have many different ways that you can give. And again, thank you already so much for your generosity and for all that you do. So we have the Tree of Life that has been named after our beloved Maureen Nielsen. That is a donation of $1,000, and you can pay tribute to Maureen's kindness and generosity. This Tree of Life is located at the Nielsen House, our mansion, our beautiful new mansion for the poor, and we continue to honor her memory through that tree. So if you make a donation to support Jennifer and Nielsen House by purchasing a leaf, you can put your name on it, your business's name, the name of a friend, a family member, to honor them. And you can use the QR code on your table, point your phone at it, and you can make that donation of $1,000 there, or you can visit Shannon, and the ladies in the back, and they will take your donation if you so choose. One of our other sponsorship levels, which really is quite fitting given what we've been doing here this evening, is that for your donation of $250, we can break bread together. And so you will provide a dinner for 25 people at Jennifer House and Nielsen House. So for that $250 donation means so much for 25 people. And we encourage you to give. And our Safe Harbor Nights provide 3 days of food, a safe place to sleep, and that warm and loving environment that you heard about. So for a $150 donation, again, use the QR code on your table. You can go back and talk to the ladies over there. We appreciate anything that you're willing to give. And again, you can make a donation in any amount, and we're grateful for whatever that donation is. And thank you again.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Sandra. We are going to be ending the kind of formal part of our evening very soon here, but the fun is not stopping. So remember, there's dancing, which we're going to do very soon. Dessert is out or is coming out. I think it's almost out. So we have dessert and coffee if you haven't seen that coming out already. And I believe, is our silent auction table still open? It is, right? No, it's closed? Okay, it's closed. Jelly bean count is open. So you can go back and look at the bid sheets for your auction items to see if you won. So I hope those of you that bid high won. Someone didn't overbid you. All right. So again, we'd like to thank you for coming. Make sure you're still taking pictures. Make sure that you're dancing and just having a great time as we finish celebrating. Thank you.